For first session, how about we move to the outdoor teaching space on the other side of the classroom, and we'll have to move a couple tables out of the centre so we can all fit. How do you feel about reading out our what's on for today?
Just want me to go through
Thursday, day 4. Steph's going to read out our what's on for us.
So session 1, Midway Evaluation. A test. No one said a test.
Not a test. No tests or exams here, thank you.
Teaching methods. Brainstorm. Keep going?
Yeah.
Session 2 is questioning. Rhythms of lesson, day and course.
And if we don't get to that, we'll pop it in tomorrow or the next day.
Session 3 is micro teaching number 3 delivery. Session 4 is micro teaching number 4 brief. And micro teaching 5 prep time. And then an evening session is going to be prep time tonight.
You'll be happy to hear.
Sleep time.
So a shorter day as far as structured activities goes today without that structured evening session. Yeah, you're doing great. So it's about halfway through the course that in best practice education, best practice teaching and facilitation, we introduce a mid-course evaluation. We're evaluating the student experience, the group experience, not a test, luckily. And then we'll have a pop quiz. No.
Sorry, I've got a call to take.
Who has done jazz?
Yeah.
What?
It's just
A jazz quiz?
jazz.
Oh. A blues and roots quiz. Who's done a mid-course evaluation in a lengthy course, PDC or otherwise?
Daily.
A few people. Kath?
Yeah, I did a pre-course evaluation saying what are your practices. Mid-course and the sustainable living course, I was saying, how's your bin level going, for example? Have you noticed things about the water use? What things have you talked about to other people? And then checked in with a far more comprehensive one right at the end. But the midpoint was really good for measuring how far along the spectrum people were managing to come and who was lagging, who needed some extra help, and who was really getting it and might be able to help others.
Thanks, Kath. Ro, did you have something to add?
I think it's just so important as a troubleshooter, because quite often in a long course, once people get over the initial thrill and excitement, some discontent can settle in and it can be bubbling away in the background. And with this sort of exercise, it comes out and it's cleared, and then the class just sails home after that. And you can make changes, and you really can make things more comfortable for people.
So for this morning in this class, we're doing this kind of evaluation. You'll see there's a smiley face in the centre, and there's a few pieces of the pizza, different areas, and a frowny face towards the outside. So the invitation is, in a minute, Ro, Greta and I will step out, and you would invite anyone else. Say Jodie was participating in the course as well, she would step out with us. Say Jasper had organised the admin, he would step out with us, so that it's a safe space for the group, people don't feel they're being watched. And I'd invite you to grab a piece of chalk and write in the pizza slice a little cross or a circle close to the centre if you're very happy with times or meals, and further away from the centre if you were less satisfied. And once people have done that in the group, see if there are any big themes of discontent in the group. You can identify those. We're thinking like 1 or 2 things, if there are that many that aren't vibing. Call Ro, Greta and myself back and let us know your solution. Let us know what you as a group needs. Should take about 5-ish minutes. Yeah, let's go get a schnitty. Ro, question.
Yeah.
After this, I'll do a quick waggle your fingers. I'm thinking of kind of student welfare questions, like just so I can identify if anyone's really struggling. Any questions that you'd recommend I ask?
I'd actually ask the question, is anyone struggling?
Yep. Yep.
If so, just would you like to have a chat later? Choose the person you feel comfortable with rather than say, I'm available.
Sure.
Because some people feel more in tune with some than others. Yeah.
So time's clearly an issue in comparison to motor.
What do people mean by time?
It's not enough, I guess.
Not enough time?
Yeah, as someone who was put sort of midway through, that was more a reflection of I just feel like an equal prep time.
Yeah.
Bit too tightly scheduled. Yeah, like I can see why they're doing what they're doing, but also my body's sort of screaming at this point. That was my opinion there.
One of the things they said they were going to test was whether the longer break times were helpful, and I would say that for myself, I love the longer break times.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is what might always be pressured, not enough time for preparation.
So the longer breaks are useful, but maybe even the start time could be earlier.
Yeah, because they're all up.
In consecutive days.
Oh, you teenager.
Months.
I thought you were I've got up since conception.
Feels like it.
Would a possible solution for times be maybe a tweak on the timetable, but as far as being told you've got a 45-minute break, is it then just very easy to slip into, I'm having a break, whereas if they said you've got a 10-minute break, 15-minute break and a half-hour prep time, you could choose then to go, oh yes, okay, I'll use that for prep, or no, I'm done, I'm going to have a break for the whole time. Would that be a bit more specific?
Can I say something about time? I like personally am like, oh, I wish I had more time on this course, but I put it right up high because I also acknowledge that if there was more time in this course, it would be a longer course, it would be more expensive.
And harder to get to.
Harder to get to,
Harder to commit to.
Yeah. So I'm actually grateful for how much they've squeezed in into this.
Perspective,
Part of my comment on the time one was reflecting my time management as well, I think. You've got to make some critical decisions in how you spend it.
And that's probably good prep for teaching.
So,
Having too many tasks and not enough time.
Well, I think there's nothing
that can be done.
Well, no, there's nothing in this that we're experiencing by accident. This is being designed. Every minute this is designed to teach us.
And real teaching, you rarely get time to even go to.
Exactly.
I actually have a problem with the real teaching philosophy that we put our teachers through. I think it's completely inhumane.
Can I just check with the times, because we didn't sort of sum up, are we basically saying, I'm going to put it bluntly, are we saying, yep, it's all a problem for us, but we're going to suck it up? Is that what we're basically saying?
That's one of those things. We can say you can tweak very lightly.
But I wasn't too sure whether we sort of said maybe we could tweak.
Teachers are back. Look busy.
The evening session's talking about put aside for prep 2 months. I think
it might feel a bit better.
So you have a solution.
A solution for the meals, for those of us who are stretched in that capacity, might be a warning what the menu is likely to contain, so that those of us who need more protein or need complex carbohydrates bring brown rice or bring jerky or something. Okay.
Most beautiful mid-course evaluation I've seen so far.
It's beautiful.
What were a couple of the main points that we're hoping to work on?
Sucking it up. Brenna's just like,
There's not enough time. There's never enough time. You probably designed it for us not to have enough time.
thank you.
And we didn't have enough time to finish that process.
And we were supposed to call you back, and nobody called you back.
Why are you here even?
How long
And the
would
course
this
could be
process
longer, but we don't have the time.
Yeah.
And it'll be too expensive. So time, fix time for us. Slow time down.
We need 2 lecture hours in there.
I would have appreciated, just for the way I work, a small, even like half an hour, small amount of time throughout the day that was for micro teaching. That would work well for me, even if it meant like a slightly shorter morning tea and a slightly longer lunch.
I'd agree. I always work better if I know that everyone's on the same task in terms of like homework or whatever. You know?
And would be easier to be less distracted by, well, I want to be at morning tea in this conversation, but I actually need to be away somewhere else. And
If you just like go to everybody like, all right, everybody, homework time.
Just wondering if we can have a group agreement about what you'd like us to do if it's in our power. Remember, this is an experience behind the scenes of running your own PDC, which is roughly the same format, timing, everything. This is roughly it that you'd find doing a PDC. So as a group, what would you like to take to us?
A solid part of the admin that we all seemed to come to was that a bit of a chaotic feeling undercurrent of where we're going to be, in here, out here, in the barn, under the tree. We know there has to be some changes due to the weather, but in general, if that has to be on the timetable, so we could have our stuff go to that spot, because a lot of people have been going to that spot and going, oh, hang on, going back, finding their stuff, got to get my hat, got to get my jumper, and it's really good.
Let's check. Is that true for everyone?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I'll just warn you today, I had to think about conditions in terms of whether it's raining or not. So if we'd told you the venue yesterday, it might have been different if it's raining. So that is one factor, but not all of it. Can we take that on board?
Yep.
Right, where's Greta? Can we take that on board? Okay.
I like this as an outdoor teaching space. I really like fresh air when there's so many of us. I'm really COVID phobic. That's half the reason I don't participate. It's because I need extra airspace.
Perhaps recognising that need to flex. If you had a thought about where the next session was going to be, you could take in each session.
Yep.
Yeah, even warning us at the end of.
Would you like to try it for tomorrow? We can put it in place for tomorrow for you.
I like the pattern. I like the pattern of the same thing every day, so that I know. So that changes.
Do we feel it's necessary, considering that there's no evening session tonight? So from 5 o'clock today, it's up to you how you manage your time. Does that change? So should we trial today as it is with the no evening session and check in tomorrow morning?
The micro sessions, not.
I think a hilarious proposal would be that we could have a voluntary work session instead of late tonight for micro teaching. But maybe we could also have a voluntary group learning session as well.
If you, sorry. Okay, thanks. If you notice what was happening, we're trying to listen carefully to what you're saying and understand and count. So the hand count was about 6-4 at that time, 6 in favour. But what we're trying to do is provide you with options that you can agree with, not let you endlessly say, well, I think and I want and I think or I want, because we'd still be here tomorrow morning. So trying to summarise is one of your roles. If when you give the class these options, you summarise with things that can happen and prepared to try. And very often we say, should we try it? Or we could consider it tomorrow morning in the circle and see if the day didn't pan out properly today, we can try it tomorrow. So giving options that people might like to run with is one of your roles as a teacher.
Right. Do you have a better way of providing open option but with set parameters, like a vote, but do you have other tools that you use for that?
Look, there are. However, when it's the case of the colour of the walls, should these be rust or off red, that conversation will go forever. It's tangible. 15 minutes earlier, 15 minutes later, 15 minutes at the end, 15. So therefore, try to summarise and give options that people feel comfortable with, rather than everyone going on. It depends on the size of the question and what people would like, and how much is important and what you can do. So when people said we'd like a whole day off in the middle, we said we can't give certificates on that because it has to be a 6-day course on punctuality. What do you think? And people said we will do the time. And that was their choice based on something that we don't control. So your role is to summarise what options are possible within the teacher's remit, and give people chances to try something if they want to. So what was we decided? We're going to
discuss trial today that has more free time in the afternoon, in the evening.
Yep.
And then at morning circle, if there's still tension around that, we can check in with the group about possibly adding to lunch.
Yeah, because we want to do what you want, but if you don't have consensus, we're not going to get it before lunchtime, even with a range of processes.
Can I just offer tonight, between 7 and 8, if people are struggling with their micro teaching, I'm happy to sit and maybe brainstorm, because occasionally it's always a good idea to batter off others, and maybe some of us that have had more experience can just do that. There's a meeting here, and you can go, oh my God, I'm stuck with this.
Belongs in notices, but it's good.
Sometimes
Very good.
Sometimes having a thing that I use for in homeschooling for my ADHD boy is just body doubling, which is just doing the task with another person in the room.
Right. Are we able to
you're
put...
accountable.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do anything. Yeah.
Righto. Can we accept that offer, and your comment can go on the sitting tree?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Can I put a rider on that for those who aren't choosing to do it, that they're not in the same space chatting?
Yes.
So distraction is my issue. When some are socialising and I'm trying to work, I find my ability to work goes through the floor.
Okay, as teachers, we are always asking you to manage your own situation. That is something that we require. With your class, you have to do it. What do you think, Brenna?
I've got a couple more questions about evaluation. So I'd invite everybody in a second to close their eyes. What we're going to do is hold our hands above our head like Mickey Mouse is. And when our eyes are closed, I'll be asking some questions. If the answer is an enthusiastic yes, you'll put all of your fingers and both thumbs up. If it's not sure, you do about half, so one hand. And if it's no, keeping your fists closed. So eyes closed or gaze lowered. Are you feeling heard in your Micro Teaching 5 group? Okay. Are you feeling integrated in the wider group, forming friendships and feeling safe? Are you struggling in this course? Are you struggling in this course? Are you listening to others in this course? Are you feeling a bit like Mickey Mouse with your hands above your ears? Okay, thanks everybody. So I was just watching for patterns. What's the value of that form of evaluation? No judgment? What was that?
I said anonymous voting.
Anonymous. Yeah. It's quite different from asking when everyone's eyes are open for feedback.
Yeah. Very speedy from your perspective. Yeah.
And it allows for a deeper level of questions to this. This is sort of overview stuff. Okay, thanks everyone. Yeah, personal experience.
I like that little exercise. I've worked with people that have got processing delays and don't connect emotion to voice, but physicality and emotions are much more directly connected, so that's an easy way to listen to response.
Yeah, thanks, Naomi. If you are incredibly nervous, if you're struggling on the level of, if you're really struggling in this course, I'd encourage people today to find someone you feel safe with. Have a chat with them. We're all here to support each other. So you can reach out if you're needing help. So I'd invite everyone to move back inside. We're going to get stuck into learning methods, teaching learning methods, all the methods. Teaching methods. What are teaching methods?
The way you deliver content.
The way we deliver content? Yeah, what's some examples?
Role play.
Role play.
Lecturing.
Lecturing. Handouts. Kath, what did you say? Chalk and talk. Yeah. Graffiti. Jigsaw. All right. We'll continue this in a second. Why do we use teaching methods?
Interesting.
They keep
Cement the different styles of learning.
keep things interesting, meet the different styles of learning. What was over here?
Oh yeah, so, yep.
Transfer a message.
Yeah.
Content.
Content, here we go.
Method indicates that there's a structure, and that means that you can look at your objectives and your assessment.
Yeah.
Good method increases efficiency.
Yes, it can increase learning, increase the take-homes, and when we're planning as teachers, we can kind of make our lesson plan by method. Yeah. So if we're talking less than 30% of the time, that other 70% is where learners are reflecting, engaging, processing, practicing, designing. These are where our methods really come to the fore. Because we're not talking, we might not even be in the room. So methods allow us to encourage learning, to facilitate effective learning. Michelle, would you mind flipping that poster down on the board, please? Tamara, how do you feel about reading that first one out for us? Select a method for your purpose. What's our take on that?
Maybe what you're going to be trying to achieve with your teaching method will probably change.
Yeah.
To be relevant.
Do you want them to memorise content or display a skill?
And also with the target audience, I suppose.
So we're not looking to pick a method we think is really cool at the exclusion of all else. What I would like is this whiteboard. Yes. We're choosing our methods with an awareness of purpose. Tamara, could you read out the second one, please? Ooh, so we've heard purpose and we've heard content. I feel a Venn diagram coming on. I've written it up there, but it's quite small. Purpose, content, and our method. Where they overlap, happy students. So methods don't exist in isolation. The ones that we choose for two good reasons. They're enhancing our purpose and they're related to our content. Clear instructions. Now there's something I wanted to say about this. There is evidence that messy teaching and messy classrooms are conducive to learning. And by messy classrooms, I don't mean cups everywhere. It means leaving some edge, some wiggle room for problem solving to take place. So this concept of messy teaching, we do give clear instructions where needed, but we also allow some ambiguity. An example of that in this course is not listing all of the topics for a PDC up front on the first day or in the pre-course email. Leave a bit of ambiguity, a bit of tension, a little bit of chaos in some of the things that we do. And it has been shown that that can bring out stronger problem-solving skills. It can add to group culture. It can freak some people out, but it has benefits as well. So sometimes the instructions are deliberately ambiguous, deliberately vague, with that in mind. And if groups go off task, you're constantly monitoring so you can course correct. So being present when you're using a bit of messy teaching is important. Giving clear instructions is also important. We wouldn't go one extreme or the other. Any thoughts on that?
The classic cliche in education is the tradition of wanting to see a quiet classroom, everyone sitting down, shaking, listening, and then you go past a rowdy classroom where there's often learning happening and people are engaged and talking and things have been cut up and made, and when it's alive, there's learning happening. And it doesn't mean that you don't have periods of quiet like now, but that it's not the way that people learn.
I've got an example with messy teaching. We didn't have enough bowls for an activity we were doing. I thought, oh no, it's going to go horribly, everyone needs a bowl. And I didn't get time to go back and find more, and it turns out everyone just got into groups and shared the task and figured out that it was more fun to get activity together rather than solo. And then now that's the way the activities ran. So just 5 bowls.
Is that the case of when you have an organised event and something kind of goes wrong, that's the memorable point? So if there's a time when, oh, there's not enough bowls, oh, hang on, and then you rearrange and find a different way, that's the bit people remember, and so they're more likely to remember what they learned in that moment, because there's a little bit of maturity beforehand.
And as a teacher, it's often when you do your best work, when nothing goes to plan and you're thinking on the spot, you've just got to react under adrenaline and stuff works out. We'll hear from Kath and then Shani, and then we'll move on to the next point.
Mine's a question. Would you graduate how much clarity, directive instructions you give, more at the start to tapering down as you go?
Learners on the first day of the course are often feeling less confident and needing more structure around them. So I would say that's probably a good idea.
I was just going to make a comment that if you're an inexperienced teacher, I wouldn't be trying to build this in, because it's going to happen anyway. The lesson you can take away from it was, isn't it good that that happened? Because I know that's supposed to happen if it's good, so, but I wouldn't actually try and plan that as you start out. Just try and be clear, and the chaos will follow.
Yeah, thanks, Shani. Whether you want it to or not. Thanks, Shani. That is an important point. Naomi?
I'm finding it really difficult because I'm needing to understand what the clear objectives are and what the clear outcomes are and how I'm supposed to meet those. And if I'm getting messy, everything in the middle, I'm really used to dealing with the mess in the middle because nothing really goes right. I'm good at winging that, but I need to really know what it is that I'm supposed to be achieving and how I'm supposed to demonstrate that. If I don't have the understanding of how that's going to be assessed, or what it's supposed to look like at the end, I don't have the landscape for the map to build upon.
What's your take on that, Rose?
Well, is it about, I'm sorry, I was a little bit late, I was held up over something. Was it about this course or about putting your own work together? Right, so in this course, we looked at the competencies in the beginning, and then what we're doing is when we visit and monitor, is helping assess with those. So we would find people on the whole using really good eye contact now, speaking to the group, probably sitting down and being more conversational than talking to the board. Then we'd find that there was some language change. People had stopped saying you've got to do this and you need to do this and you must do that and you ought to do that. So we're watching that. And in the small group work, we're watching what content you have and know about to be able to assess whether it's adequate for the teaching. So our goals are to match that competency list of outcomes we gave you in the beginning. You don't have to attain every one of them. You can work where you want to because you're an adult and you choose where you would like to specialise and make a difference. Some of you would like to change a different method. Some of you would like to use more tools and aids. Some of you would like to improve your speech and articulation. This is up to you, but that's part of where we're monitoring on the whole. We don't do individuals. So we're not saying so-and-so's the best. If that mightn't be clear, would you like to tell me if I've misread or misunderstood? Because I came in late. Is it about your own achievements or the class?
I really like how the class is working. I get the demonstration. I need more concrete things. I don't attain verbal and I need written things. I'm writing notes and I'm trying to keep up. That's working, but I would rather know what's coming.
Okay, well what we can do is put you immediately online to get copies of the book of this course so you know exactly what's involved, almost minute by minute, even though it looks casual, in this course, which is free for anyone who would like to do it online at any time. So you can look it up the day before and see where we're going and what we're doing. It gives you the activities and outcomes. So we'll give you the reference for that. Okay, good.
I've got the printout of that book and it's completely unmarked if you wanted to use it for the rest of the courses. So
that would be awesome.
And also, I bring a spare copy for if someone misses the first day, so Lisa has a spare copy as well. I'm a similar learning style. I love to have boundaries and parameters. I love a timetable. I love to know what's coming up. If we cater for my learning style, we're putting in too many boundaries for others. So there's always that tension there, and in our PDCs and other courses that we're running, we're managing both and trying to put in background safety nets, like handing in the course notes to everybody afterwards or as soon as we can through the program. We'll keep moving through because we've got some exciting teaching methods that we're going to cover. So keeping the energy up, methods can be tailored to, if we're all lagging halfway through a session, we think, okay, this method's draining energy, we can switch over, yeah? Or we can anticipate, last thing in the afternoon, probably not the best to do a really dense PowerPoint lecture style method while people's brains are a bit fried. Maybe better to have small groups working around doing a practical activity around tables. A very important part of our teaching method is anticipating how we'll process the learnings. And we're going to practice that in a second. Greta had an activity yesterday where, we learned about the three different roles of a teacher: manager, subject expert, and communicator. Talked about that idea. We processed it in small groups, brought out the learning a bit further, and then we spoke about it as a class. So always building those in, different methods, how we're going to get that processing happening. We'll practice it in a second, and constantly monitoring. When we were in those groups, Ro and Greta came round and said, are you all being heard? Listening in. You'll see us kind of creeping around in the background while everyone's in group work. We're listening in for dynamics, but also to check that groups are on track. And then you can course correct if not. So the teaching method that we're going to practice today to learn about teaching methods is Brainstorming. Can be done very well, can be done really poorly. Who's had a bad brainstorming experience? One or two paltry ideas on the board and we all fall asleep. Brain freeze. So for those not familiar or with English as a second language, what's brainstorming mean?
You have a central topic or idea and you expand out from that idea. So it's kind of like a cloud, and you would have points of interest or topics outside that cloud that are related to it.
And who thinks up those topics? Everybody. No filters. Thank you, Rod. So what we're going to do in our brainstorming on teaching methods, every answer is going on the board. It doesn't matter if you say a piece of toast and a cup of soup or a teaching method, that's totally acceptable for the brainstorm. What we want is to encourage creativity, encourage answers. Rabbits are a teaching method, great, that's up there. Okay? As soon as we start policing, the whole energy winds down. What else is important with brainstorming? Yeah. We'd like 2 volunteer scribes. Who's a quick writer and wants to have a go at collecting brainstorming? Charlie, up you go. Rachel? Remember, we're not focused at all on spelling in this course. There'll be a lot of answers, so manage your size so that we can read it and fit a lot in. Charlie, could you please write the word brainstorming in the centre? And what are we aiming to achieve? What's our purpose of this teaching method?
Broadening the scope of ideas that each person has access to.
Yeah, we're using our collective wisdom, right?
Sorry, in the good scribe setting, it's also that they use pens that you can read.
Find the best coloured pen.
It's not good. I was going to say, I said orange good.
You're assessing the knowledge that they have.
Assessing. Yeah, you're looking for gaps? Yep. Up here.
Hi. We use this process in strategy thinking at FAST, so generating new ideas and new solutions called ideation. And it's about finding a part of a problem that might be really big, but that can be tackled as a small individual solution. So taking a big problem and making it something that you can actually tackle.
Thanks. I think it's a great way of actually getting collective knowledge too, so they can find the gaps.
All right, we're gonna limit our time, 10 minutes or less, and we want to see 200 ideas. So we're revving up our brains, brainstorming. Well, we heard a few answers before. What were they? Like field trips, we heard PowerPoints, we heard lectures, we heard role plays, group works. These are the things we're looking for. If you say rabbits are a brainstorming method, chuck them up there. Our scribes are going to be frantically writing. We'll be helping them. Repeat yours if it doesn't get up there. That's how we can help them. Go for it. What is a teaching method?
Triad. Oh, that's right. Keep going.
Storytelling.
Flashcards.
Drawing.
Right, we can't say that. Sorry.
Someone said draw.
That pen doesn't work. Sorry.
Not that.
No, no, yours does.
Seminar.
C121 teach.
Charlie, seminar.
That's all right.
Physically enacting.
Role play. Making models.
Lecture.
Expert groups.
Chalk talk.
Expert groups. These I'm using this language for something.
Mentorship and chalk talk is
Groups.
Great.
Group.
Code cluster.
Conversation.
We don't know.
Card.
Handout.
Session.
Song.
Singing, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say music.
Someone says conversation. Yep.
Yeah.
Interpretive dance.
Story sharing.
Stories up there.
Doing? Field trips. Toast. Short video clips. Doing stuff. Yeah, YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube.
I'm trying to find my stuff.
Pictures.
Think, pair, share. TikTok.
Doing.
Crowd relevant in the next environment. Modelling.
I'm going to say Project Zero, and that's a gateway to about 40 or 50 different things. Project Zero.
Bingo.
Demonstration.
Jigsaw.
Question sort.
Words.
Challenges.
Ordering. As in putting things in order. Problem solving.
Sports or games.
Journaling.
Challenge, yeah.
Walking. Meditating.
Cooking.
Toenails.
Sports or games.
Quiz. 3, 2, 1. Play.
Imagining.
Sandpit.
Sandpit.
A treasure hunt.
Fish scavenger hunt. Yeah.
Do we have handouts?
Yeah.
Brainstorm.
Yeah.
Brainstorm.
Placemat.
A meta brainstorm.
Placemat.
Brainstorm.
Helicopter pamphlet drop. Bit ego over here. What was that? Helicopter
Propaganda.
Helicopter what? Pamphlet drop. Pamphlet.
Guerrilla marketing.
Marketing and gorilla.
Yeah.
Charlie, I said placemat.
You want to buy this?
Yeah, I got that.
You got us down. What about brainwashing? Case study.
This baby's 300 kilos of pure gorilla.
Art.
Food.
Pottery.
Food's the one.
Visioning. Microseminar. Posters.
Micro teaching, yeah.
Gardening.
Ritual and ceremony.
P2P. I love that.
What's that? That's jargon. Ritual and ceremony. Makes sense.
Graffiti.
Did you get gardening, Charlie?
Did you get mining? Role play.
Role play is there.
Yeah, got that.
Mining.
Mining.
Yeah, you can load up. Coal.
Script writing.
Minecraft.
Stories, so songwriting.
Graphics.
Online games.
Try and fail.
Playwriting.
Do we have statistics yet?
Do we have PowerPoint yet?
Survey.
Got chalk and chalk. That's not the same. Nuts.
Storytelling, we talked about.
I guess so.
Singing, music.
Is there like books?
Who would have thought? Amazing what comes out of a brainstorm.
References, like providing references, research projects.
What do we use in this course?
People.
Posters.
On your ground.
Something.
People got it.
Scientific trials.
Sarcasm.
So, experiment.
Munching.
Ridicule.
Body humour.
I've done music. Oh no, it'll do it.
Repetition.
Roy said dancing boys.
Yeah, humour needs to be up there.
MVC bunting.
Yeah, we got bunting.
Have we got theatre?
Gift for acting.
Acting, yeah.
Exposure.
Dancing
My friend did meet her partner in her medical course by drawing all over his body parts. That was a form of learning.
Were they supposed to be doing that?
30 seconds left. What's your last answer? Let's get it up there.
Reading them like a piece of meat.
Storytelling.
Have we got think, pair, share up there?
Yeah.
Think, pair, share's up there?
Last chance, 20 seconds.
Mnemonics?
Pronounce new think wonder.
Yes. Alliteration for an hour and a half.
Poetry.
Colour coding.
Otherwise, it's making me want to eat cheese.
Is that cheese?
No, I just said that this makes me want to eat cheese.
Two more answers. That's your one.
Acronyms?
Did you get colour coding?
Colour code.
Walking the land, a new whiteboard. Walking the land.
Interviews?
Always.
Generational knowledge sharing?
Try it. Try it. It's great. That's great. What an
Here's what like that's some jargon now.
That's submersion.
Exposure and
Could be the same. All right, fantastic. Ladies, everyone give yourself a clap. Thanks, guys. Michelle, while you're up there, could you please rub out brainstorming and put methods in the middle? Or I said the wrong thing. Thank you, that was a bit confusing. So we had a purpose. We talked about our purpose before we started this method. It was to expand on the topic, use the knowledge in the room, really solidify our understanding of what a method is. How do you think we achieved our purpose? How well did we achieve that? We expand on the topic? Yes. Used the knowledge in the room? Helped along people who weren't sure by hearing from others?
Well, there was a few things put out that I don't know what they mean, and we didn't have the time to clarify.
No, so that's an observation on the method used. Yep. Other methods might have had less ideas brought out, but had more time to discuss them in depth. Yep. Valid point.
I have no idea what half of the things the people said, but I'm sure they're great.
Oh, well, hopefully in the next part of the activity, we'll be able to dive a little deeper. So we've gathered the information, and then the second part of our method is to process that information. It's particularly important with this example, because how do we use all of this, you know? Oh, it's great, but if we just go to morning tea now, it's all lost from our minds. There's a couple of ways to do this. Mason, would you be able to stick these down the side here, please? Yeah. Thank you. One way is to consider the categories that this information can fit into, and to loosely start bunching it into something a little more useful than a board full of words. So Mason's putting up some categories here just to get us going. Could I invite actually our scribes, since you know better than we do where words are, to hop back up there and grab a pen each? Yeah, it might be tricky for some learning styles. We'll help you out. Let's hear a couple of examples of a hands-on teaching method. What can we see there that's hands-on? And Charlie's going to circle them in the same colour. Rachel, you can help him out.
On the left, lower left.
Same it, right?
To be able to circle things that you can posters. Food.
Field trip.
Field trip, any hands on?
sports and games in the middle.
Dancing boys can be hands-on.
Exposure. Doing stuff and then bottom left.
Great. So there's more, but let's move on to screen. What's an example of a teaching method that uses screens? A different colour, please, Charlie. Yep.
Seminar.
Seminar.
Yeah. Minecraft.
And Basil's Minecraft.
Brainwashing.
To your right, the right of your hand is PowerPoint.
Printed materials, new colour. What's an example of printed?
Poster, maybe.
Poster, flashcards.
And white tea.
Worksheets, handouts.
Is this screen good?
Propaganda.
Flashcards.
Flashcards is up near the little bit of paper that says printed materials. Great, so we'll leave it there, but this is one example of processing. And if we were a smaller group and had done this brainstorming, thanks Scribes, you've done a wonderful job. If we'd done this brainstorming on a big sheet of paper in the centre, this is a really effective method for then making some categories, helping to process that information into something that's more useful. We're going to try another way now. So in groups, I'd invite people, no, I'll explain it first. We're going to list topics in our PDC, our core topics. Just go one by one, pick one your group's excited about first. Next to that in a table, we'll list outcomes that as teachers we're looking to achieve. And then we'll add in our method. So this table that we'll make as small groups will work as a sort of checklist going forward when you're preparing your sessions. So we've got topic, I'll show this around in a sec, outcome, and method. So for alternative economics as a topic, what's one of the outcomes we might be looking for when we're teaching that class? Yeah. Knowledge of ethical banks, recognise an ethical bank.
Be able to like, I don't know if you can measure the outcome, be able to like look through the lens of an ethic at stuff in the world.
Yeah, financial related economic stuff. Yeah, excellent example. Financial literacy.
Like have an idea of actually what they're talking about.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. So these are examples of outcomes, and for each of those outcomes, what was your example again? Recognise an ethical bank. What are some methods we might use for that?
Ethics checklist, or practices checklist. Would that be a screen method of searching those banks and researching who those?
Yeah, we could show up there going to market forces and they list ethical banks and less than ethical banks.
You could have, like Jodie came and did a little talk at the end and talked about indigo bank.
So this is what we'll be putting together in groups. Go with the topics you're interested in, and you'll end up with a really useful list of a few methods for each topic and outcome that when you're doing your micro teaching tomorrow, but also teaching into the future, you can reference later. We'll be getting into groups of about 4 people. Grab a sheet of paper, about the size of the Our Group poster there. Grab some markers, and we've got about 15 minutes to make our list. this will be a start, yeah? But you can continue doing it in your own time. Yes, please. Oh, time just disappears. Time just disappears.
I know, but it's still beautifully done, and you've covered a hell of a lot in that. You've got through one method, it's got an exercise going. It's terrific. You handled that discussion. I didn't want to discuss. No.
Yeah, you know, you did well.
Were we just picking one topic or were we listing topics?
You can list a couple, so what you've got is good. Now let's go through soil. What are some outcomes? What are some methods?
Yep. Now, I thought they were going to do several topics. What's your thought?
You'll start, choose a topic and start the process then, but then you'll probably go on to a second one and a third one,
Yes.
see how much time you get.
That's good.
I mean, if you go deep into this one, that might be it. We don't have a huge amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yep, that's good. That's good.
Right. So, Brenna, this is a great teaching moment because this is what they've done. They've done that. Now, about giving instructions or having a demonstration, it's just a great thing because I have it happen again and again. They do something quite different.
And were you here when we spoke about messy classrooms? I don't think you were.
No.
So we spoke about it at the start, leaving some ambiguity.
Yeah.
Or if you accidentally do it, it's actually proven to enhance learning, but that you have to monitor.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be great to speak to at
that's
the
a
end.
great moment. And it's also about how the explanation works.
Yep.
It happened to me a lot. Someone's doing it quite differently. I wouldn't have even thought they would. Good?
It's vague. It has to be. How would you demonstrate that? They can recall, list. Yeah, there you go.
I don't think it matters what they do so long as they're thinking and involved.
Yeah.
You know, we should be encouraging the groups to move the pen round a bit, but maybe not now.
What do you think about maybe we haven't done objectives? Maybe I missed it yesterday.
Yesterday we did objectives, and people wrote some really good objectives. Identify, integrate. You know, those outcomes are actually objectives as well. No, they're good. Yeah.
That's supposed to say objectives, wasn't
They're very close.
Okay. Yeah.
If you write your objectives, then you can measure your outcome.
Oh, right. So, it's
So outcome, objectives are...
Something that we can measure.
Yeah, so objective leads you to an outcome that's visible and identifiable. Yeah, and identify is great. Integrate is terrific. It's very, very good. I think it's something about water that we'd...
Looking at energy, and so then there was body energy, water,
That's several topics, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So how you define, explain. Remember, they're going to be designers. They have to be able to somehow design or map stuff, or put it on maps, or take it off maps, or, you know, they have to have those skills as well. So outcomes. Students illustrate, students place. They're very, very good and diverse. Okay, marvellous, because your outcomes and objectives are linked. If your objectives are clear, you'll get your outcomes.
Like a comparison.
Students can do a PA. Student identifies thoughts. Students suggest. Right. Terrific. 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 Wonderful. They're doing brilliant outcomes, and they're crossing out words like understand and replacing them with verifiables. And they need to know if you can write the objective, then you can find your outcome. And it needs to be in terms of design. So although they can speak and define, they also need to have place on a map or identify on a landscape or...
And we don't focus on outcomes in this course. We don't have a session that includes outcomes really. in this
Not
course?
strongly, no, but I think
It'd be
it
good
will.
to have like a 15-minute overview at least for those who aren't used to it.
I wonder if we can pop it in sometime. Let's say we've given them a fresh, free evening and let's take it anyway. We'd have an absolute right.
Worked through and then bringing that back, because especially for the economic social different stages of their life and economic security. So I think that's really interesting.
So it's all
They still might not have economic housing, they might just have and permaculture university.
If we could kind of form back some sort of circle, thank you, before Tamara starts on a new piece of paper.
You don't have to sit up if you don't want to.
Just some sort of circle, doesn't really matter where.
Not a sharp circle.
No, not a sharp circle. Make Jeff's job harder. So what did this method of processing add to our understanding of our topic?
Things we can apply later. That's something useful. Turn this into something useful.
Sometimes there's an order that things can flow in that makes more sense, time structure. Yeah. But sometimes the content dictates the method is going to be used.
And some of the outcomes determine the method.
Yes. And there are lots of ways to do it.
Dave Holmgren says sometimes, there are many ways to skin a cat, and then he gets this 5-mile stare. I skinned a cat once. People go, oh, I want to know about that.
Interesting observation around the discussion of standardised curriculum versus, diverse PTT curriculum, and the thought that you pretty much have to reinvent the wheel every time you make a new course with developing your own outcomes and everything. But I suppose that creates the richness and the ownership of the course for the teacher who's developing it, perhaps.
Yes, and on that level, when you're guest teaching, which is that's how most people start teaching, you come in and teach 1 or 2 sessions on someone else's course. Every time you change course, you're not totally reinventing the wheel, but you are tweaking your sessions because different courses have variations. And it can seem a little unfair if you're constantly guest teaching on other people's courses for the first few years. That said, it's fascinating to be on other people's courses and see how they do things. So there's a payoff for that as well. Something to add?
I'd agree with that, yeah. But I think if you are a guest teacher, you have to say, what did you teach before? What were your outcomes? What can they do by now? And what do they know by now that I can rely on to go forward? If it's not there, you're going to have to reteach to get to where you want to be.
So ideally remember there's 2 elements to a teaching method. There's eliciting the information and then there's the processing side of it. So this example of a processing activity helped us to achieve our goals by processing. So where we heard, what if there's wrong answers on the board? Did this process help us to eliminate some of those wrong answers? Did anyone put dancing boys down as one of the best methods to teach energy? The aim is to help the information to sink in a little deeper. And we're getting that through revision, looking up at these, writing it down again, talking about it. Also helps us reflect on the information in a deeper way. We're starting to have conversations and draw links between our outcomes and our topics. And like we said before, it gives us a useful tool. It creates use from a sea of information.
Could I add revision?
Yes.
Because yesterday we talked about concrete objectives and outcomes. So we write objectives to achieve outcomes. and writing those very concretely is really important at the stage, so you understand the stages of your teaching to get to that outcome. So this is a revision on what we mentioned yesterday when we asked you to do that.
And something really interesting happened during this activity. Tamara, could you please hold up your sheet of paper? And Ollie, could you hold up yours? So due to, we're not sure why, my lack of clarity in instructions, my messy teaching, or someone hearing something that wasn't said, which happens with groups all the time, every time, we ended up with 2 variations of our activity. Some groups doing topic, outcome, method, and some choosing one topic, this group choosing one topic and really diving deep into that. Now, did you feel you suffered for having done it that way? Yes. And so how did you come to the point, what happened during that activity? How did you come to the point where you ended up having zones on the back and diving into a second topic?
Because we felt pretty comfortable with what we've come to already with outcomes and methods for one topic, and we're ready to...
New challenge.
Ready for a new challenge.
And Ro and I were walking around, and Greta, watching to check that everyone was on track, so monitoring. And we said, great, you can dive deep into that topic. If you've got time, you can cover a second one. So at the end of the day, the messiness of that situation wasn't detracting from learning. It's all okay. Someone does something slightly different, happens all the time. Keep it on track if it needs to be, or support it if it's fine. Reflections on that?
Variety isn't necessarily a problem or even a challenge.
It was a different outcome because that way that we did it really did tax us and force us to dive deeper into that subject. Whereas if we had listed a range of different subjects, I think we could have very quickly gone through one exam.
So did you have anything else to add to this session?
Well, my thought is that you would start to put together, so when you're in your micro-teaching groups, you're starting to say who goes first and second. You're starting to get that flow and continuity each time in your group. So now if you can start formulating a little bit of an idea of the flow and the structure of a PDC, you can then do this so that in the end you've got all your topics in the order in which you feel it should go, together with your methods and your objectives very clearly. And a quick revision after a little while is possibly all you need to be able to teach it pretty much straight up once you've done it a few times. So that is some sort of homework for you, and I'm not going to suggest anything about time. It's a very useful tool if you do it, and I recommend it strongly even if you're going to teach introductory courses or short courses, to simply have that, because you'll draw on it again and again. Tomorrow we'll add tools and aids to that list. So we'll add another column and we'll add tools or aids, and then if you have to teach something quite quickly, you can look it up, check it out, make your list, and it all should fall into place for you.
Question on outcomes.
Yeah.
And not reinventing the wheel. Is there a cheat sheet somewhere of language to use? Because we always fell into the trap of trying to come up with, new sentences and kept going back to understand and learn and all these vague non-action words that actually won't demonstrate an outcome. But is there like a chart or something that says define, explain, analyse, show, whatever?
Create.
Yeah.
And there's ones that have them as a hierarchy of depth of understanding.
However, if you were implementing, I'm sorry, I did that. I interrupt, I need smacking. You're right, there are lists that exist. However, if you're implementing a design, you would use, for the same content, you'd use different verbs for what the students must be able to accomplish. So in some cases it might be read a contour map and identify key points, In another case, if they were doing it, it's lay out a contour line with a theodolite or an A-frame. So it depends. If you were implementing, you would have different objectives and outcomes from design. So your students are probably going to be designers. So to word your objectives and your outcome in terms of design, they can place this on a map that I identify that. They can translate from the landscape to paper. They could explain to a client. So thinking of what your final students are able to do to be effective will shape how you mention, what adjectives you use.
My question of myself when I'm writing desired outcomes is, how will I measure this? How can I measure it? Is it measure-able? That's right. If we're not, yeah.
Could you write that on a little piece of paper and stick it up to the maps?
Yeah.
And this is a good place to start.
It's a little bit dated.
Is that my copy?
Is it a little bit dated? All right. Okay. Right. Half.
To the Earth Restorer's Guide.
Half done. It's half done, but not completely. Okay.
So before we close, can you enlighten us and inspire us in 30 seconds or less?
Project Zero, Harvard University, is an incredible website with teaching resources, strategies that you click on. I was just looking at how do they define them. So they categorise their topics as, I need to go back one, that's too far into it, into thinking routines that are core thinking routines, introducing and exploring ideas, digging deeper into ideas, synthesising and organising ideas, investigating objects and systems, perspective taking, and it's a university level project designed to create an accessible resource for teachers that's all about getting students doing the heavy lifting and having processes like this. So there are probably 100 different teaching strategies. And Shani, I think it's you that said...
Barry Bennett. Cooperative learning strategies.
Barry or Barry?
If you're North American, Barry.
And Shani, you were saying that as a teacher, if you get 12 core strategies...
He says put 7 in your pocket, 1 for each day of the week. Have 7 in your pocket all the time, and like I've got my 7. I only have 7, and I found I can get through most things with just 7.
What was that one again? What teaching strategies?
Cooperative teaching.
So both of those great resources are going up on the resources list.
And that's 30 seconds. There's 30 teachers here that if you want to talk to, we'd love to talk to you about them.
So we would.
Thank you. After you put it up on the resources list, yes. Put it up on the resources list, don't forget. Thank you, thank you. Great. To close the session, have a think about a teaching method that you are so excited to try. What's a new one you've never tried before and you were just itching to give it a go? Who's got one to kick us off? It looks like we're going around the circle this way. Sarah Faye. Got a method? Got a method you'd like to try, or we can come back to you?
Method, come back to me. Yes, sorry. It's fine.
I have a serious answer, which is ceremony.
Ceremony.
Put things in a bit of an abstract kind of way, a bit more of a grounded sort of way.
Thanks, Steve. Serious?
Yeah, case studies.
Skip that bit. PowerPoint.
Stories.
I've never used it.
Stories.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like a game. I don't know what it is, but the enthusiasm with which Shani yelled out triad makes me want to try a triad. She knows it works, so yeah. Isn't it good, Stacey?
It's fantastic.
Great, I'm looking forward to learning about it in the break.
So many different kinds. I'll pick one, both now. I need to investigate it further, learn different ways to use it.
Ordering.
Storytelling.
Past. Cooking. Just any method would be a good start. It all. Yeah.
Field trips.
Poetry.
Project Zero.
God, all of them. Yeah, lots.
Peer to peer.
Bingo!
The students like create something.
3D modelling.
Curiosity to try, I'd probably give one to.
Given I don't have a really big grasp of some of the content, the concept of using expert groups or jigsaw for permaculture stuff intrigues me.
Immersive learning.
Fishbowl.
Map drawing. Drawing. Sports. Sports.
Sports.
Well, yeah, it's all very useful.
Thanks everybody. That was a taster of teaching methods. There are so many teaching methods. I know, 2 weeks on teaching methods, wouldn't that be wonderful? We get to hear about another couple teaching methods after morning tea. So we're meeting back here, Ro?
Yes.
Yep, and then a bit outside as well.
And then we'll be going outside, provided it isn't raining by then.
Okay, great. Thanks everybody.
Okay, good.